I'm Dr. Christopher Finlay. I'm an assistant professor in the Communication Studies Department at Loyola Marymount University. I primarily study new media, social media, and how that impacts global movements such as the International Olympic movement. London 2012 Games were considered the first truly social media games. It was the first one where athletes took to Twitter to the extent that it became normalized. Certainly there had been instances before where athletes had blogged or even used Twitter, but we really saw an emphasis in 2012. And the International Olympic Committee, the sponsors that work with the International Olympic Committee, and the rights-holding broadcasters such as NBC that work with the IOC all have a very complicated, sort of contested relationship with social media. On the one hand, they realize this is a way to reach new audiences. On the other hand, they realize they have very little control over what's said. And so they've been producing extensive blogging guidelines and regulations and punitive measures to try and control their athletes. The reason they're doing this is because the Olympics is a multi-billion-dollar business, and it is extraordinarily lucrative for the IOC to get endorsement contracts from, let's say, Coca-Cola, or here in the United States, rights-holding broadcasting rights headed for NBC. And it is particularly important to note, actually, that the IOC has actually even backed down a little bit for the first time with this Olympics in terms of allowing their athletes to speak up for their own sponsors, as opposed to the official, what's called the top program sponsors, the Olympic program sponsors, because they realized that athletes were probably going to do this anyways, and why not try and work with them? And so we've seen a policy change. What will be fascinating to see is how that actually impacts the content of the games and the content of the social media that comes out of the games. It probably will be fairly minor because it's a very minor concession that the IOC has made, but I think it's quite significant in that it shows the organization, which has really come to its own during a traditional or legacy media age, is struggling with its identity and its financial mechanisms in a digital era.